Very much, guys. Okay, let's begin. This is the AI VFX and virtual production for everyone webinar. I'm pretty glad you're here. And hopefully we will have some fun today. And of course, we will try to learn some stuff today regarding virtual production and AI and the new tools that are, right now in the market that we can apply to make amazing visual effects. So first thing, you can interrupt me at any time. I will have opened the chat also. If you have anything or any question, of course, you can ask at any time. So we can answer right away, okay? Let me just reorganize my screens here. Here's the chat. Perfect. And here is my heads. Thank you. So a little bit of our background. We are a production company. We do production services. We did production services for Fear the Walking Dead, for Netflix Club de Cuervos, Coyote from Sony Paramount. We did production services for Saw 10, the horror movie, and Paramount Pictures, a couple of shows and ads. And for recently, our most recent work, or one of our most recent works, and we're pretty proud about it, is Train Dreams for Netflix and Black Bear Pictures. Train Dreams, it's an amazing story. We will see the case study at the end of the presentation. But we did this huge forest fire for them as a VFX that was part of course, of the movie. We are so fortunate that the movie now is nominated for 4 Oscars, and one of the Oscars is for cinematography. And we were in the cinematography team because Adolfo Veloso, the DP, asked for him directly to supervise, with the help of a VFX supervisor, of course, but to be part of the virtual production process, because for him was very important. If you watch the movie already, it's pretty naturalistic, and it was a very special kind of cinematography. So he wanted to be really, really involved in the virtual production process, and we will learn about that in a couple of minutes. Yeah, we work also for Amazon, and we will see other study cases. So I will show you pretty fast a demo reel. This is not an updated demo reel, but because, as you know, we have NDAs for some of the new stuff, but you can have an idea of what happened like 1 year ago or 2 years ago with our company, okay? I will reshare because I think I forgot to share audio, the sound. Yeah. There we go. Share sound, and here we go.
There is no sound actually. You need to turn on the sounds.
Oh. Okay, so we will discuss what is virtual production. Of course, many of you, especially Noah, knows perfectly what virtual production is. Uh, but anyhow, of course, we will repeat that and we will discuss that so you can, any one of you that are not familiar with the concept, with the concept can learn about it.
Okay,
So
mention.
we will check out this video and we will discuss. This is a very, very cool video that explains from Insider, explains exactly what it is. But as many of you know, Mandalorian was one of the first mainstream shows that use virtual production as a technique, you know. And of course, we have background with this technique because it was used before. Some of the techniques were used before in movies such as Jungle Book, and of course Lion King. But this use of the virtual production with the LED background is nowadays the most advanced technique in virtual production. And I mean the real time, you know, what we call the real time in camera VFX, as you can see here. So one of the pioneers, of course, was ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, with the direction of John Favreau, that began experimenting with this technique. And as you can see, one of the big advantages of virtual production is that you can get amazing, you know, photorealistic backgrounds. Back in the day, there was something named a rear projection that was like the grandfather of this technique. Unfortunately, the quality of it wasn't that good because of the limits of the technical capabilities of a projector, and you know, and the lack of perspective. You know, you didn't have the precise perspective with rear projection. And now when you use virtual production with tracking, you have a very nice quality from the LED walls, with the modern LED walls, and of course you can have the tracking of the camera in real time. So when we have the tracking of the camera in real time, we get an effect named parallax effect, where the background, you know, moves synchronized with the movement of the camera. So it matches exactly the real perspective of the frame. So that gives you amazing, you know, of course, possibilities. The other thing that's really important is that virtual production is becomes one of the main lighting sources of your volume. We call that the volume there. And as you can see, you have amazing, you know, global lighting, you know, incidence in your actor and your props. And of course, you have precise reflections. And when you have precise reflections, you have beautiful things, you know, that can, of course, you know, reflect on your elements, in your on your practical elements. The other advantage, of course, and it's pretty, you know, game-changing situation, is that you don't have the problems of spills or bad lighting on your subjects, on your actors, on your props, on your physical props. So that saves you tons of times, as you know, rotoscoping and you know all the corrections you need to do when you do chroma key are very time consuming, and it takes usually several, you know, technicians and artists to do that and to compose. And when with virtual production, you're composing in real time, of course, it's as you are in a location. The other advantage is that as you can see here, we have an amazing set, and we only have the desk and a couple of props, you know, the desks, and the little wall over there, the little pilar over there. And you save a lot of time and money in terms of construction of building stuff. So you can, you know, have a rather small set dressing, and then you can match that set dressing with the background, and you can achieve amazing, very pretty photorealistic results. So as you can see, you have amazing control. You know, that's the flexibility you have. You have controls with your lights. You have controls, of course, with your background. You can move or change in real time, any part of your, of course, environment. So it's super flexible, and you can save a lot of time with this technique. And of course, you can experiment much more because you have the freedom that with very affordable ways to to build the backgrounds. And I mean, everything is digital and it's 3D. You can experiment with, composition. You can experiment with, of course, a perspective, etc., etc. So as you can see here, this is one of the volumes in ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. And also another advantage is that you can save, a lot of space. You can see here that the volume is rather small, and you can represent a huge, huge forest in there. And another thing is that you have the best of both worlds. You can make, hybrid techniques using also green screen. If you want to protect yourself, or you want to do like, if you're not sure exactly what you want to put in the background and you want to do a reshoot with green screen, you can do that without any problem with virtual production. So those are mainly the characteristics of a virtual production and what we call the volume, in this technique. So recapping a little bit, you have cost efficiency, you have real-time visualization, and also I didn't mention that, but real-time visualization is very important for the actors, for the director of photography, because for the director in general, because you see exactly what's happening in real time. And actually, we will see a testimonial from Felicity Jones in the movie Train Dreams. And she said exactly that. You are acting to something, and that's very important. We even use sound, to if you have a real-time explosion in the background in your virtual production wall, we sometimes put the actual sound of the explosion, so we can help the actor react to what's happening in the background, so he can feel the ambience, because the actor, of course, is feeling and is let's say he has around this amazing environment, and it's pretty actually impressive for actors to be part of this amazing volume. And as we said, we have a lot of flexibility, but the other thing is we have greater security and control. Of course, one of the reasons that we shot the forest fire scenes in virtual production is because it was much cheaper regarding security and control. Because the other option that Clint Bentley and Adolfo were waiting was to do an actual practical special effects with fire, with gas techniques and real fire. But of course, it was much more expensive, and it was, more risky always. So that was an amazing, virtual production was an amazing solution for that. So let's discuss in general the main elements of a volume. If you have any question, please let me know. Okay, guys? And thank you for your emails. So, of course, as Noah knows, one of the most expensive and important elements of virtual production is the LED walls. Nowadays, LED walls are getting, more affordable. But anyhow, it's a very, especially if you build a rather big studio such as Simplemente, that's around 30 meters by 9 or 7, Noah, something like that, right? It can be somehow, kind of expensive. So the characteristics of LED background is very important, as Noah knows also. The refresh rate, of course, the color specs of the background is very important, and there are several other technical considerations. The other very important element is the media server. The media server is the computer that will display the 3D environments in real time. And that's why this media server should be very powerful because you are usually displaying in real time photorealistic, images in 7K, 6K, even 12K. We installed a studio in Dallas with Opticade named Trilogy Studios, and we needed to display up to 25K in real time because of the size of the studio. So imagine the power of the media server that you might need. And actually, you usually use for that power, several workstations or several, servers that are connected in parallel to be able to process that quality of the 3D environment. We also have the LED processor. The LED processor usually handles the characteristics of the LED wall itself. It's like the TV controls, you know what I mean? This is a huge TV, and this is the TV controls where you can adjust your brightness, your colors, your sharpness, etc., etc. This is the one that processes all the technical aspects of the LED wall. Of course, you have your physical lighting, and we will talk a bit about that. You have atmosphere and special effects. So, of course, you can and you should match all your practical special effects, such as fog, such as fire, precisely, such as snow, haze, and you should match it. You can see here the fog, and you can see here the fog. You should match it with the characteristics of your virtual atmosphere effects. You have here also one of the most important elements is the track camera, the tracking. The tracking, what does is that it sends your 3D spatial data from your camera to the media server. So it can synchronize the movement of your camera with the actual movement and perspective of your 3D background. So that's pretty important. Of course, the quality of the tracking system should be very good, so you don't have any delay, so you don't have any problems with the calibration of it, etc., etc. Also here you have your what we call sometimes the brain bar or the operation bar, where is precisely your operators that can control and change everything in your setup. You have also DMX controller. With the DMX controller, you can sync what's happening in your background with your actual lighting. So it's a pretty powerful, technique to match precisely what's happening in your background with what's happening in your foreground or inside your volume. And Noah knows this very well. I will show you why. So, and the other thing is, and we will discuss this part that's very important, your real objects, your practical set, your actors, etc. Because it's very important. And we will also discuss something that Noah has a lot of experience with. It's very important to match the foreground with the background, your practical foreground with the background, so it can be realistic. So let's discuss a little bit of the workflow. Here's the workflow we usually use, and it's a little bit refined over the traditional virtual production workflow. But the most important thing to begin with is a very good pre-production. And why is this? Because with virtual production, if you think about it, you will converge the three main stages of production: pre-production, production, and post-production. And this merges because, as you know, in the traditional way, virtual production and CGI is part of post-production usually. And you shoot, and then after you shoot, then you do all the post-production integrating and composing and this and that, the VFX. And with virtual production, this in-camera real-time VFX, becomes part of the production process, because it will happen in the moment that you're shooting. So that makes, of course, pre-production very important, because you need to plan exactly ahead. You should be very precise with the planning of what will happen in your volume, of course. So that's why we say that the three main stages of production, that are pre-production, production, and post-production, merges into one. Okay, and that's why also, instead of saying we'll fix it in post, we say we'll fix it in pre. So that's very important. And I will show you another very amazing video about this. And fortunately, the main software we use is Unreal for many of the things that will happen inside Volume. As you know, Unreal Engine was designed originally for video games, but fortunately they did some they added some features that you can use as a filmmaker, and you can use for virtual production. Because the quality of Unreal right now is amazing. You can achieve amazing, pretty photorealistic results with in real time with Unreal. And also, fortunately, it has a lot of tools for pre-production and previs and tech vis. The difference between previs and tech vis is previs is the planning on the visual side of it, and tech vis is the planning on the technical side of it. And you can do it both at the same time. In Unreal, you can plan ahead both your pre-visualization and your tech vis inside Unreal. And it becomes a process, very fun process, if you can see here, because it's a process very similar to designing a video game. You're kind of designing this environment, you're designing your camera movements, your creature movements, in real time. Of course, you can even design your card processing. You will see it right there. Here you can see that he's like doing the previs of the movement of a creature in real time in your environment. And you can, of course, tweak and twist whatever you want. You can add, of course, as you can see here, precise movements, precise tracking of faces, of hands, etc., etc. And here we have the card processing thing. You can also, with video game techniques, plan ahead. And the card processing, for instance, if you have that as a background for a running shot, you can plan ahead. You can drive around and check out from a camera perspective what will happen. So it's rather fun, to do the pre-production. It's part of the very, very fun creative process. So here we have a couple of examples of that we did. This was the sketches from the director, of course, in a storyboard form. And then we transform this storyboard in a 3D environment, so he can play around with the 3D environment and decide the exact framing and even the exact camera movement he wanted for this shot, of course. When you transform a storyboard into a 3D world, you have the flexibility to move around, as you know. So he can change his mind. If he wanted this frame, he can experiment with that frame, but also he can experiment with other frames, and he can even do a sequence, so he can pre-edit, of course, the shots, so he can feel sure and happy of what he wanted, of the fulfillment of his vision, of course. And here's the actual shoot. This happened in Trilogy Studios in Dallas, Texas. This is the studio I told you before. That's around, I think it was 50 meters by 9. It's huge. And here we were applying this pre-visualization, of course, plans, this pre-production, and began the shooting. Talking about pre-production, we have other, new AI tools, natural tools. And here we have the usual suspects, ChatGPT and Gemini. With those, of course, that you can brainstorm, ideas, you can write drafts, characters, You can get, some feedback, especially if you train like specialized agents with them, and then after training, your AI, it becomes more knowledgeable of scripting and writing, and you can use it like a very, very capable assistant for your writing, especially with these tools. Also, we have some tools, very practical tools for pre-production in terms of the actual production office. Filmic AI is really good to transform a script to break down a catalog and a budget, and as you know, especially the breakdown is a little bit cumbersome, time consuming. So it does a really good work, making the catalog. And LTX Studio is actually evolving pretty fast. Usually, back in the day, LTX Studio in its first versions was for generating, visual concepts, building storyboards, and presenting photorealistic, frames of what you wanted. But now they have a video, generator that is really, really good. So LTX Studio is not only now for pre-production, but also it can be used for some forms of production. And of course, all of this is quite, controversial now in several ways. Everyone, learned about this Seed Dance 2.0 thing with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, and it's pretty, pretty controversial. So now let's move with something very, very interesting. And this is a relationship between your practical art department, your production design, your art directors, your practical artists, and your virtual art department, your digital artists. And let me explain you a little bit of the traditional way of doing, the virtual art department and all, the production design in a virtual production workflow. Usually, as you know, you will hire 3D artists to, design something like this for your background. This is a very cool, space station. And as if you're familiar with software such as Maya and Blender, in Maya and Blender, you model the traditional way. You can do pretty, pretty detailed and cool stuff with both Maya, Blender, Lightwave. You have Cinema 3D, several packages, several, softwares that can help you with this. And of course, after you model, you do your materials, your textures, your colors. And after that, of course, you do your environments, and I mean lighting. And after your lighting, maybe you even do some of the atmospherics on it. So you can see here that we have haze and a little bit of fog to make it a little bit more realistic. So that's the traditional way. And after that, you hire your practical guys, your practical art department, and you say, match this. The design of the 3D artist, you should match it for my foreground, to do the practical, sets that will happen and will interact with your actors. And I mean the props, the desks, the furniture, the dressing, the set, the practical, physical set dressing of your body. And that's a way to go. But we have another, very interesting way to go, because we are fortunate enough of having as an advisor Scott Ross. Scott Ross was vice president of Lucasfilms for 9 years. He was the general manager of Industrial Light and Magic of ILM. And he was the co-founder with James Cameron of Digital Domain. And he's, of course, a VFX guru. And he says, you know what? Let's try something different that usually ILM likes to do. And Noah knows this also because this technique, it was applied with cada minuto cuenta. Every minute counts. That was the first series in Mexico that was shot in virtual production in, of course, Simplemente with Noah and Monica. And for instance, in many Star Wars and many ILM, movies, what they do is they do the models. instead of designing, from scratch in 3D, everything CGI, they actually ask the practical art department to do physical models, even scale models, and weather it and make all the physical, characteristics with actual paint, with actual weathering, with actual dust, with all the physical parts. And after that, they scan that, in 3D and put that, scanning in the digital realm, in the virtual world with Unreal. Why is that? Because the ILM guys have a motto: there is no more real than real. So if you are able to scan the reality, you will usually get much more photorealistic results. And Simplemente actually did actual models of the earthquake, So they did some, I think, Noah, because I received this from Eric Reed and from Borboya, Manuel Borboya, that they scanned, the art department did a great job scanning, models, and then, putting that in the actual background. Um, no, just for you to know, we were fortunate enough of being hired in the first stages of Cada Minuto Cuenta to train a little bit Juan Manuel Borboya and and Eric Reed, to introduce them to the virtual production world. So I was his teacher. So they explained me a little bit of the process actually of implement of what will happen. So it was amazing. That production was amazing from Amazon. So that's why we have a very important department in the middle named the scanning artists. And there are several techniques for scanning, and I will share my microphone with Sebastian, because he will explain several techniques to do the backgrounds. As many of you know, you can use full 3D. We discussed full 3D, environments, but also there are some cases you can work with traditional 2D plates, traditional video plates, or even a technique named 2.5D backgrounds. And 2.5D backgrounds basically are layers, different layers of flat, pre-composed, elements. And when you move the camera, the layers move, in a also a false parallax effect. Remember Snow White back in the day, and the layering of the backgrounds. That's exactly the same technique with virtual production, but it will happen in real time. So depending on of your situation, you can make it work without full 3D, because full 3D is the most challenging, of course, technique to use. So Sebastian, please jump in.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
I think we have a question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I answered it already.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I want. Okay. Perfect. Great. Thank you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so for virtual production, we got like multiple types of content, right? Depending on the complexity. So let's go to the next slide.
Mhm.
The most basic kind of content, and we were talking about it in the chat right now. It's basically just a plate, right? Like some 2D image or 2D video, those basic kind of things. You can grab, I don't know, you can grab stock footage from the internet and use that as your background plate. It works great. For we have tested out, and for a lot of productions we have done, for a lot of times you don't actually really need like the actual perspective to warp or to adjust to your movement. For a lot of shots, the camera is pretty much still, so you don't really need that perspective change with 3D backgrounds, and it's an easy and really fast way to get photorealistic results on the background. You can stock footage, you can generate the background with AI nowadays. You can do a kit bash with Photoshop and some real images and join them together, composite, and there you got a full-on photorealistic background. Now, for 2D videos, it's pretty much the same. We have already tried it out, and you can already generate 2D backgrounds, 2D video backgrounds with full AI. Or you can, go outside, grab your mirrorless camera, some decent, I don't know, $700 camera or anything like that, or even your iPhone, and pretty much go outside and record the footage you want and use that as your plate in the studio. So yeah, right there you got like Flow and BO3. Those are great for plates. And that's the first level. For the next level, we got scanning. And basically scanning is you take a lot of pictures of a asset, of a place, and you throw them in the computer with specialized software like Reality Scan or Zephyr or Metashape or Jowset, and you get a pretty much a reconstruction of the place, a 3D reconstruction of the place you took. We have already successfully do some testings, and you don't even need like expensive hardware to get like photorealistic and believable results. We managed to get pretty good results with iPhones, with like an iPhone 14. You can grab your latest iPhone phone and pretty much record a place, learn how to capture places, and you can throw them in the background. As you can see right now, all that background is from a place we scan in downtown Tijuana. Um, that was like 2 years ago when Gaussian splatting came along and it was the new technology. That was a pretty rough test like 2 years ago we did, and it looks great. You can relight the scene. You can have the scene 24/7 on your studio running on the wall, and you can see we actually have parallax. We actually got a photorealistic result. And let's go to the next picture slide. Sorry. Yeah, you have the different settings. We only scanned one time. It took us like 20 minutes to scan it, and we process the images. We got the 3D Gaussian splatting background, and then we throw that into Unreal Engine, and now you got this photorealistic set background with different settings of light. We really like on Unreal Engine. It's actually pretty easy, and yeah, now you got that background 24/7 for whatever you need. So let's go to the next slide. So yeah, we tested out with multiple cameras. We tested out with GoPro cameras, action cameras, 360 cameras, with a mirrorless camera with gimbal, with an iPhone camera. And yeah, we managed to get the results you're looking on the right side. We managed to get those kind of results with an iPhone, with any kind of like any of the last 4 or 5 gens of the iPhone. We managed to get those kind of results. That was like 1 year and a half ago. And yeah, you can pretty much get really decent, in general, really decent results with any phone you have right now in your pocket, or any kind of camera, decent mirrorless camera you have right now. You can get pretty good and real photogrammetry and Gaussian splatting results with any kind of hardware like that. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sebastian. So now we will get into another very interesting matter. That's the lighting. Same thing happens with lighting. You need to match the actual physical lighting with the digital lighting. That's what we call the digital gaffer. And in the middle, there's a very, very, important technician that we call the DMX technician that, setups and make the process of the matching of the lighting, automatic. And this is pretty game changing in terms of production because of course it saves you a lot of money. And let me introduce you to someone you know. And here is an amazing, super interesting, super interesting example of the way you can change the lighting over here. And as you can see, it's amazing the way you can, of course, handle the backgrounds and synchronize, of course, all the characteristics and specs of your DMX lights and your DMX fixtures to match the backgrounds with the touch of a button. This is pretty game changing, as you can see here, because if you want to change from one environment to another, the traditional way to film, it will take you 3 hours, 4 hours, even a complete day to change all the setups and all your, company move to another set or company move to another location. So this new technology, allows you to change literally with the touch of a button, the characteristics of your environment. And you can not only, of course, change the characteristics of your lights, but also you can trigger practical special effects with DMX. If you want to synchronize a scene and you have like practical explosions and want them to sync these explosions, these practical explosions with movie dust in the foreground with actual explosions, virtual explosions in your background, you can, program your DMX setup so you can sync the movement of your actors and the action of your and the triggering of your special effects and your real-time in-camera VFX in your background. So it's pretty awesome. So the same thing happens with special effects and in-camera VFX. And actually, we have another technique we use with train dreams, where instead of using generators or simulators for the fire, we can manage to do what we call the Gaussian volumetric capture with video of the fire, or even 2D, recording of the actual fire, the realistic fire, and you can map those, clips, those, of course, shoots you did of real fire. You can, map them on your 3D environment, and you will get super realistic results. Okay. So now let's go with to discuss, and again, Sebastian will help me here, but let's discuss the post production, VFX workflows with new AI tools. Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah, so for AI, we pretty much use it, but we don't replace the whole workflow. We're still doing testings about AI. We already use it in some of our productions, and we pretty much run into a wall that AI it's good, but it's limited. If you use it for everything, you're gonna end up breaking something. Stuff is gonna start looking pretty weird. So the main use we got for AI right now is pretty much for post production, like in this video. Um, you pretty much can we click the video?
Sorry.
Yeah, so you pretty much use it for post production. You pretty much just change slight subtle stuff. Let's say you want to add or change the lighting or the climate of a scene. We use it in a Drake Bell video that you're going to see later on the presentation. We use it for that. Because it's great for stuff like, oh, add me fire on the background, or I don't know, just change the video from a sunny weather to a snowy weather or something like that. So it's great for the subtle things like that, and for the complex task of replacing everything. Maybe for commercials it can be done, but when it comes to really getting into detail, or like high-end productions where you got like requirements, like it's gotta be on lock, or it's gotta be like 20 16 bits of color, or you gotta have it in rec 2020 or something like that. All that, it falls down. It doesn't really support high-end codecs. It doesn't really get you a high dynamic range footage, but it's great for solo stuff. Like here in the Drakeville music video, we pretty much use it to add like rain and fire, and everything you see here was actually recorded in Mexico City. And you can see right there, there's some fire in the background in some of the shots. There is some rain in the place with some of the shots. It really helped us to reduce the costs and the time for that production. All the effects were done like in like 2 days or something like that, and the recording was all done in one same day. So yeah, you can see it's great for stuff like that, and we've been using it for a year or so now. And yeah, it's great for those subtle stuff.
Exactly. So now let's see a couple of case studies that are really interesting. And of course, our favorite right now is Netflix. Let's watch the trailer.
Beautiful, ain't it?
What is?
I didn't think you'd be home this soon.
Well, I just couldn't stop walking until I got here.
What are you thinking about?
I was thinking that we ought to get married.
This is rough work, gentlemen. Not just on the body. We just cut down trees that have been here for 500 years. Upsets a man's soul whether you recognize it or not.
You think that she knows that I'm her daddy?
Deep down, she knows it. Even if she doesn't know she knows it yet.
In the forest, every least thing's important. It's all threaded together. So you can't tell where one thing ends and another begins.
Do you think bad things that we do follow us through life?
I don't know. I've seen bad men raised up and good men brought to the knees.
It's all going by so fast.
Beautiful, ain't it?
What is?
All of it. Every bit of it.
So, as you know, fortunately, is nominated for 4 Academy Awards. And let's watch now the making of regarding virtual production.
Stars Joel Edgerton. I'm Clint Bentley, and I'm the director of Train Dreams.
Talk to us a little bit about the movie.
Train Dreams is a movie based on the novella by Dennis Johnson, and it stars Joel Edgerton and Felicity Jones in a story about, it really tells the story of this one man's life, Robert Grenier, who's a logger and an itinerant laborer who lives from, the early 1900s until the 1960s and sees the world just completely change around him as his whole industry of logging and kind of expanding westward. As all of that becomes mechanized and industrialized, and he kind of feels life pass on beyond.
Okay, well, I want to talk a little bit about the story of Train Dreams project. It was an amazing project. And I received this call from Bosler Studios. And after this call, they say they had this very interesting project regarding forest fire. So they asked us if we could do virtual set assets and in camera VFX about this huge forest fire. We flew to the actual studio to work directly with their rendering nodes and media servers.
Every project has some unique issues. In this particular case, this recent project, we had some shooting at some special frame rates, which are really interesting. And so, we're rapidly adjusting. So it might be an Unreal Engine, it might be exporting very 12K plates, but being able to do that rapidly on the spot. So having their team critical part of the process with integrated here at every stage is vital. So it's the previs, it's the creating the worlds, it's the going back and forth to iteration, and then being on set, running the wall and the volume, and having the artists here that can demand to whatever the director needs.
Parte de mi trabajo como técnico es solucionar esos problemas y hacerlo de la manera más eficiente posible todo aquí, de cómo generar estos escenarios fotorrealistas lo mejor posible, pero que también lo aguante la computadora y que todo esté corriendo en tiempo real, ¿no?
Job. I mean, it's, provided the CG environment in Unreal, CG renders that you're able to throw up there. This was the right decision to go this route for this project.
It's just been a great experience working with iDigital, and they're great collaborators, and every step of the way they were able to take direction and really hone in specifically on what our director's vision. It's been great.
Everybody, who's been helping us from both companies has been so wonderful and so collaborative and helpful to the process. It's just been incredibly easy and a wonderful experience.
Hi, it has been such an extraordinary experience working with each screen. It makes our job so much easier. So much of our imagination is done for us, because it just is, you're not acting to nothing. So it's been such a tremendous experience, and I think the effect is going to look fantastic with the finished film for Train Dreams.
It was a total and absolutely success.
We were talking to a few different partners, or potential partners, to see who could create that content for us. And as soon as we got the first tests, even the very rough tests from iDigital, those tests were just head and shoulders above anything else that anybody had sent through. And it was just very clear immediately that these were the people to work with.
I can't stop it.
Okay, thank you guys. Sam asked, he wants to confirm that some LED screens, there's one rectangle section and outside is a still image. Yeah, actually that's called the frustum. And, that rectangle, it's what the camera sensor is, looking at. It's the frame of your camera sensor. So this is done so the computer power can be optimized, because you don't need, what's outside of your camera, frame. So that technique, saves you a lot of computer power, because the system is only rendering in real time what the camera is, seeing in that moment. You know what I mean? It's framing in that moment. So you can see, even in here, you can see the rectangle happening,
and an itinerant labor.
You said And that rectangle precisely, let me try to find one scene where that, there it is. Let me stop it there. There's your frame. And as you can see, in the left side is steel and low poly. It's a low quality, and inside of it is a very high resolution image. And that's precisely why. But you want to keep, many people ask me, and then why doesn't it goes to black? Why do you keep the actual steel or low poly there? Because you want the lighting of it, you still want the environment, the lighting environment of it. That's why it still keeps the image in, even in animation, but low poly or steel, you know what I mean? Here I think it was animated in low poly. No, it was steel, yeah. And how that's achieved? Yeah, you have the tool in Display. That's a module inside the Unreal Engine. Yes. So sorry about that. It's kind of glitchy sometimes. I will use the keyboard. So you can see here the scenes, some of the forest fire scenes. And actually, the coolest one was cut from the final movie because it was kind of harsh, Felicity Jones jumps into a cliff, and we shot that, and it was so cool, but it was kind of harsh. So it was cut. Maybe in the director's cut, in the future director's cut, we'll have that scene. This is the actual, environment we did, and actually, it's really cool to, make practices on that kind of environment. Here you can see, the actual steels of the volume for Train Dreams. So what kind of industries? You have all kinds of applications. You can, of course, use it for cinema, TV, broadcasting. That's the natural, use. But also you can use it for advertising and marketing. You can use it for gaming and XR. Here we have an example of a corporate video we did for Amazon.
Doing this means building the best compute infrastructure.
It was really cool, and it was, of course, to announce the new data center for a artificial intelligence that will be installed that was installed in Seattle. So yeah, corporate, of course, even documentary, you can have recreations, or you can even have, of course, interviews with virtual production backgrounds. If you can put your, interviewer in an actual, very difficult environment, such as a war zone or something, you can use it for documentaries also. And events and entertainment, of course, you can of concerts that uses a lot of these technologies. Actually, we set it up a new concert venue in Las Vegas that uses 3D environments because they want to change the environments in real time. They have a lot of LED walls in the concert venue, and we had a huge DMX fixture. So when they move around or change the 3D environment for the concert or the party, because they will do a lot of huge parties over there, all the lights will match the actual environment in the venue. Architecture and real estate, corporate events, etc., etc. So we have a couple more examples. Right now, we have partnerships with Visual AI in Anaheim, Opticate, with Bosler Studios in Seattle, Trilogy Studios in Dallas, 1111 Studios in Mexico City. And now we have a new partner, a pretty new partner named Creator Space in Santa Monica, California. That's really cool. And a little announcement for you guys. We will have an actual workshop, and it will be a hybrid workshop with 4 online sessions, from Monday to Thursday, and actual hands-on sessions in Friday and Saturday, the 23rd, the 27th and 28th. So it will begin next Monday online, and we will, as I said, practice hands-on the 27th and 28th in Santa Monica, California, in Creators Studio in Santa Monica, California. And actually, it will be really cool because we will work with several environments, 3D environments, including also the Train Dreams actual environment, so we can practice with fire situations. And usually with our students, we try to make a complete music video, to produce a full music video. Sometimes, of course, very often, one of the students is a musician or has a friend that's a musician. So we have the opportunity to practice doing an actual, final product. And this is a music video because the music video is so fun to do. And in creator space, we have amazing props. We have actual, cars, actual, collection cars. We have a Ferrari, we have a Corvette over there, so we can play making very cool, music videos with those cars. Imagine that car, a running shot with the forest fire or something like that. It can be amazing. So we will play a lot. We will have a lot of fun. Also in creators space, we have a volumetric capture studio. So we will capture real-time 3D, persons. So we can scan in real-time video, not only stills, but video inside creators space. So if you have any questions or you, of course, have any interest in attending, we will have amazing discounts for you guys. And you can write us to helloacademybp@gmail.com. And I think there's another one, but Maria, can you please share the emails in the chat group? Thank you. Kevin ask, will end display deal with live focal length and depth of field? Yeah, you can adapt that, but you of course will need, a sensor for that. There's a sensor from Mars, and there's another sensor for ARRI that calibrates, of course, the position of your focus length of your lenses, and it sends that data, Kevin, to the Unreal scene, and it will match. It will match the live focal length from your practical space, and it will move seamlessly to your virtual space. It's pretty impressive. Also, of course, car size lenses already has embedded the metadata system, the sensor. So it has a small port in the new car size lenses, and it can sense that to the system. They have an actual solution named, I think, Cinecraft from car size, and it makes all the process very seamless, So it's really cool. That solution from car size is really, really cool. Did I answer your question, Kevin? Okay. So I don't know if you I don't know if you have any other questions. No questions? Okay, you can write us. I will send you my personal email. So if you have any questions, you can of course reach me, and I will put my also WhatsApp number or iMessage number. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Please, we ask you to spread the word. Thank you very much for this. Thank you especially to Noah. It's an honor to have you here, dear Noah. You're a great teacher for all us. You're one of the pioneers of all these, of course, new techniques. So thank you very much, especially to you, Noah. And thank you all. See you around, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.